This story took place in 2016 in the small German city of Freiburg and gained wide publicity, sparking a wave of outrage and raising many questions not only about the local police but also about the German authorities in general. At the center of events was 19-year-old Maria Ladenburger, who was born on December 6, 1996, to Clemens and Friederike Ladenburger. Maria was a medical student at the University of Freiburg and worked part-time at one of the city centers in her spare time. On the night of October 15 to 16, 2016, the girl attended a party organized by her faculty. Maria had a great time in the company of acquaintances, and around 2:30 a.m., she decided to return home to her student dormitory, which was located about 5 kilometers from the university. After saying goodbye to her friends, at 2:37 a.m., Maria got on her bicycle and headed towards the dormitory. However, at 8:20 a.m., a passerby jogging along the small Dreisam River near the Schwarzwald Stadium noticed the body of a young woman in the water, which was only 30 centimeters deep at that spot. The deceased was identified as 19-year-old Maria Ladenburger. She was found about 1.5 kilometers from the dormitory, which she never reached. According to the results of the forensic examination, the cause of Maria's death was drowning. Before her death, the girl was strangled with her own scarf, which the police seized at the crime scene. A sample of male DNA was found on the scarf, most likely belonging to the killer. Experts also established a probable motive for the attack. Before her death, Maria was. To investigate this high-profile case, a special team of 68 investigators was formed. In addition to the DNA on the scarf, the police found several black hairs 18.5 centimeters long with bleached tips in the bushes near where the body was found. Importantly, the hair was torn out by the root, which allowed obtaining another DNA sample of the perpetrator. However, it was not possible to establish his identity using police databases. On November 8, the police announced a reward of €6,000 for information that would help in the search for the criminal. Thanks to several patrons, the amount soon increased to €35,000. Investigators interrogated more than 1,400 people, including participants in the fatal party for Maria. At the same time, more than 100 people voluntarily submitted their DNA samples for comparative analysis. These were mainly partygoers, but no matches with the killer's DNA were found. The police worked out all possible leads, but the most significant was the strand of hair and the scarf found at the crime scene. Having the criminal's identifying features, long black hair with bleached tips, law enforcement officers began to review footage from numerous surveillance cameras. In a video from a tram, their attention was drawn to a young man with a so-called undercut haircut, short on the sides and back and longer hair on top. It is noteworthy that in the recording made at 1:57 a.m. on October 16, just 40 minutes before Maria left the party, the suspect was getting on the tram near the university. Shortly after the suspect boarded the tram near the university, about 20 minutes later, he got off at the final stop, located less than 1 kilometer from the place where Maria's body would later be found. According to police reports, during the tram ride, the unknown man harassed 2 girls, but they eventually managed to get rid of the unwanted attention of the intrusive fellow passenger. Almost 7 weeks passed from the moment the body was discovered, and on December 3, 2016, the police finally announced the arrest of a suspect. It turned out to be a 17-year-old immigrant from Afghanistan named Hussein Khavari. But, as it would later become clear, he was not exactly 17 years old and did not come exactly from Afghanistan. But let's take it one step at a time. Khavari entered Germany without identity documents in November 2015. At the border, he stated that he had arrived from Afghanistan and was born in 1999. Age is a separate story. When entering the country, Hussein Khavari claimed to be 16 years old, but he had no documents with him to confirm or refute this. Due to the stated age, he was granted asylum in Germany as an unaccompanied minor refugee and placed with a foster family, thus providing him with housing and food. Such a trick with lowering the age is a common practice that gives advantages not only when applying for asylum but also in case of problems with the law, as the attitude towards minors is more lenient. However, we will return to the issue of the suspect's age a little later. For now, it is worth paying attention to the more notable details of his biography. As it turned out after the arrest, Khavari's fingerprints were entered into the Pan-European database back in 2013 in Greece, where he applied for asylum. Shortly after arriving in Greece, he managed to engage in illegal activities. In the summer of 2013, while on the island of Corfu, Khavari attacked a 20-year-old student, took her purse, and then lifted the girl and threw her off a cliff. The victim fell about 10 meters and miraculously survived only by getting caught in the bushes and falling on the sand. The girl spent 17 days in the hospital, underwent 3 surgeries, and also identified Khavari as her attacker. He himself seemed not to understand why he was detained, and in a conversation with the police about the victim, he remarked that she was just a woman. In February 2014, a Greek court found Khavari guilty of attempted murder and sentenced him to 10 years in prison. It is important to note that in court he claimed to have arrived from Iran and was born in 1996, although when entering Germany, he stated the year of birth as 1999. Here, of course, a logical question arises: how did Hussein Khavari manage to enter Germany in 2015 if a year earlier, in 2014, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison in Greece? The fact is that after a year and a half, he was amnestied and released. Khavari was obliged to regularly check in with the police, but he showed up at the station only once. At that time, the borders were open, so Khavari, along with hundreds of thousands of other refugees, went to Germany, where he adjusted his age, passing himself off as a minor. When the truth came out, the German side had a whole range of claims against the Greek authorities, in particular the police, who did not put Khavari on the wanted list through Interpol, which allowed him to reach German territory unhindered. While the law enforcement agencies of Germany and Greece were trying to sort things out among themselves, ordinary residents of Germany, and Freiburg in particular, demanded that the authorities take at least some measures to curb uncontrolled migration. In response to the discontent of the townspeople, the mayor of Freiburg, Dieter Salomon, stated that Khavari's origin should not become a reason for sweeping judgments. On the other hand, the anti-immigration party, Alternative for Germany, called Maria Ladenburger a victim of Angela Merkel's policy of hospitality. Unfortunately, the story of Maria Ladenburger was not an isolated case. On December 27, 2017, another horrific incident occurred in the city of Kandel. A 15-year-old refugee from Afghanistan, Abdul Davidzai, attacked his classmate, 15-year-old Mia Valentine, with a knife in broad daylight. The reason for the attack was that the girl stopped communicating with Davidzai. As a result of the injuries, Mia died in the hospital, and her killer was arrested. The parents of the deceased expressed doubts about Davidzai's real age, insisting on the need for additional verification. To determine the age of the suspect, X-ray examinations of the hand, collarbone, and teeth were performed. According to the experts' conclusion, Davidzai was at least 17.5 years old, and most likely about 20. However, since the specialist could not state with certainty that Abdul was 18, the court considered his case as a minor, and therefore, the maximum punishment could be 10 years in prison. But Davidzai did not even receive that. On September 3, 2018, he was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison, which naturally outraged not only Mia's parents but also the public as a whole. It is noteworthy that a year after the sentencing, Abdul Davidzai committed suicide in his prison cell. On March 12, 2018, another tragic case occurred in Flensburg. 17-year-old Mireille was attacked in her own apartment by her ex-boyfriend Ahmad S., who arrived in Germany from Afghanistan as an unaccompanied minor refugee. Mireille and Ahmad had been dating for 2 years, but when the young man began to excessively control the girl's every move, she decided to break up with him and started dating someone else. Ahmad inflicted 14 stab wounds on Mireille, from which she died. During the trial, ES claimed that at the time of the crime, he was 17 years old, and therefore should be tried as a minor with a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. However, the examination showed that the killer was actually about 29 years old. Taking this data into account, the court considered Ahmad as an adult and sentenced him to life imprisonment, which under German law, under certain conditions, provides for the possibility of early release after 15 years. Mireille was called another victim of Angela Merkel's migration policy of hospitality. Let's return to the case of Maria Ladenburger. In addition to the results of the DNA examination, which linked Hussein Khavari to the crime, his guilt was confirmed by his own confession. The trial began in September 2017. Khavari admitted not only the fact of rape and but also that he lied about his age. Although he never specified his exact date of birth, the defendant confirmed that he had actually already reached the age of majority. Based on the results of the dental examination, the court dentist reported that Khavari's age was about 25 years old. However, the most complete information was obtained through a telephone conversation with the accused father, who shed light on both his son's real age and country of origin. It turned out that Khavari was originally from Iran, not Afghanistan, and according to the birth certificate provided by his father, he was born on January 29, 1984. That is, at the time of Maria's murder, he was 32 years old. Accordingly, Khavari was tried as an adult criminal. In court, he said that a few hours before the attack, he consumed a significant amount of alcohol and prohibited substances with friends. After parting with his comrades, Khavari got on a tram and went to the area where he later attacked Maria. The cruel irony of fate was that the girl dedicated her free time from studying to volunteering at the Migrant Assistance Center, and it was at the hands of a migrant that she met her untimely death. On September 22, 2018, the court found Hussein Khavari guilty and sentenced him to life imprisonment. Under German law, life imprisonment provides for the right to parole after 15 years if a special commission concludes that the convict does not pose a threat to society. However, in Khavari's case, the court noted the particular gravity of the defendant's guilt. This means that although his release after 15 years is hypothetically possible from a legal point of view, the real chances of this are extremely small. Thank you for watching this story. Write your thoughts about it in the comments. Don't miss the future videos, subscribe and like the channel. Take care of yourself and people you love.